From the back of a sawmill that's been converted to a juke joint, this is Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Will Taylor. And yes, we are both Irish. On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies to bring you details and discussion about them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. Today's episode, a movie written and directed by Ryan Coogler, a filmmaker cashing in his blank check for his previous films, Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. A film starring the charismatic Michael B. Jordan in not one, but two leading roles. A film so popular, it completely destroyed box office expectations and set records. After the break, Will and I will discuss the film Sinners. Stay tuned.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you? I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells.
Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
Okay. Will.
Yes.
We are so back.
We have never been more back than we are right now, dude.
Every other episode, it's we're back, baby. We haven't recorded in 3 weeks. What's going on, everybody?
God damn, dude.
So our last episode was a big catch-up episode.
Yeah.
This episode might as well be a big catch-up episode, but we have such a killer movie to talk about. We haven't talked about a movie in almost a month, like on the show even.
No, we haven't.
We're so behind. But listen, we did see the movie everyone's been clamoring for. And I literally mean that. People have asked me, like, when are you covering Sinners? Like, I'm not joking.
Oh,
like,
yeah, I know.
People have literally been asking us.
Yeah.
We saw Sinners together.
We did.
And I mean, as everyone knows by now, it was fantastic.
I want to say we saw it, what was it, maybe a couple of days after its release or a whole week maybe?
I think it was the week after. Yeah, it was the week after.
That's right, because I remember seeing the headlines on like, it had a 6% drop off, which is like completely unheard of.
Yeah, because we went like on a Sunday.
Yeah,
Sunday morning.
At 11.
Like, it'll be like a subdued thing. No, it was the busiest theater I've been in a minute.
It was fucking packed.
Yeah. Great experience. You know, I don't get, since, you know, I've had a kid, I don't get to go out a lot. I've made like 2 exceptions a year, basically. It's how it's been. But like this one was great and
definitely worth the theater experience.
And that's, you know, and everyone's been saying that, you know, the reviews were so hot, as we're going to get into. But like, truly, if you're listening to this now and you didn't make it out to it, like, it's probably screening in IMAX again, because they keep bringing it back because it's just making so much money.
Yeah.
And if not,
it drops June 2nd.
Yeah. So I believe by the time this comes out, it's going to be on Max because it's a Warner Brothers movie.
Oh, it is a Warner Brothers movie. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we're buying a physical copy though.
Oh, like, yeah.
This is the movie, dude.
Yeah. I'm getting that Steelbook. I didn't lock down a pre-order, unfortunately, because it's been hot, but I will get one. But yeah, listen, Ryan Coogler, man.
What a visionary. Like,
yeah.
You mentioned Fruitvale Station, and that's actually where I got started on him too. I don't know. You took the same film class that Haley did. Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, did they not make you watch Fruitvale Station?
Not when I took it.
Gotcha.
But I can see why, because I remember that professor. That's absolutely a movie that he would get behind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember seeing it and being like, wow, this is really impactful. This is before, the Black Lives Matter movement. This was before, any of the
George Floyd,
any of that stuff. When we watched it, it was like, obviously growing up in America, being aware of situations like that, like this wasn't very uncommon, but it was good to see it done in a film. Either, even though it was, how you say, like an independent film, a small film, it was still important. And I think it was one of Michael B. Jordan's like first acting situations. I
think it was his first theatrical film. I think he'd only made like shorts and stuff before that. And then he got picked up right after that to do like Black Panther.
Black Panther,
Did he go right from that?
He went from Fruitvale Station to Black Panther.
Which is insane. Like that was... Marvel doesn't always... Feige, whatever, doesn't always do a great job at like picking their directors, or sometimes they just pick somebody that they can push around. And maybe they thought they could do that with Coogler, and they were like, oh, this is a guy that like is fresh off of this hot new indie film, so he's not going to go over budget. You know, he's going to do all the studio input that we need him to do. And he turned in like one of the top 3 Marvel films, probably, period, right? Like maybe the highest grossing outside of like
it grossed
and
$1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah. Just good Lord, man. I mean, everyone's seen Black Panther. We don't need to spend any time on that. Obviously that film was a phenomenon.
Yeah. Hey, real quick. Michael B. Jordan was in a couple movies before Fruitvale Station. That was my bad.
Yeah.
He was in Red Tails. He was in Chronicle. He was actually one of the main characters in Chronicle.
That's right. He's the friend in Chronicle, right?
Yeah. He's one of the 3 that gets superpowers, and I believe he's the one that accidentally gets killed. He's like the altruistic one, and the guy who goes to play Green Goblin in the awful Sony Spider-Man movies kills him on accident.
Yeah. I didn't know who he was back then, but I remember liking him a lot in Chronicle.
Right, yeah.
What was the other one you said too?
Red Tails.
Red Tails. I haven't seen Red Tails, but I've always wanted to, because that's the George Lucas like produced this movie about the squadron of black World War II fighter pilots.
Yes.
And do you know who wrote the script for that movie?
Who?
Aaron Magruder of the Boondocks.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's tight.
Apparently he got really into that story, and George Lucas was like, hey, do you want to write this movie that I'm trying to get made? And he was like, yeah, man. And it's because I think Lucas went to him because Aaron Magruder was a famous outspoken critic of episode 1.
Really?
He loves Star Wars, but when episode 1 came out, he was like, this shit is fucking racist.
Yeah.
It's poorly written, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people at the time weren't really saying that, you know, and Aaron Magruder was like banging a drum about it for years.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Lucas took
I
that
see
criticism.
it. I agree.
Oh, exactly. I mean, now you look back and you're like, yeah, that shit was racist as hell. But I think George Lucas took that criticism to heart and like came to him and was like, hey, I would actually like you to write on this movie.
This is him doing reparations. Just kidding. But yeah, so I mean, he goes. Ryan Coogler goes from Fruitvale Station to Black Panther, makes $1 billion. It's fucking crazy.
Has made 5 movies, every single one of them a critical and commercial like mega hit, not just hit, mega hit.
Yeah, because he goes from Black Panther to doing Creed, like a sequel to Rocky films, and it came out like what 20 years after Rocky
like
had been irrelevant.
Sequel, right?
Yeah,
but he found a way to like make it fresh and relevant.
Oh yeah, dude, I love those Creed films.
Yeah, and has become its own franchise again now because there's like 3 of those now, right? 3 Creed.
Yes, there are 3 of them.
Didn't Michael B. Jordan direct?
He directed the third one.
Of them? The third one.
The third one, yeah.
Damn.
Which wasn't bad. It wasn't like, it was all right, you know, but he was doing a lot of really weird shit, and you could tell like he's
like trying stuff though, right?
Yeah, he's definitely trying things because Michael B. Jordan he's one of us. He's a nerd, you know. Yeah, he's a
Isn't he obsessed with Vegeta too?
Yeah.
I
was gonna say it's like he's a very buff, handsome nerd, but he's still a nerd, and he loves anime, and he tried doing some like anime shit in the third.
I remember you telling me this when it came out.
Yeah. The 2 fighters go to this like subspace in their minds where it's not just that they're fighting each other, but they're also fighting the things that are like on their mind and holding them back. Like, this is the reason why I fight, kind of shit. It's like, it gets really weird, you know, for like a boxing film, but I liked it.
Listen, I'm here for it. Like when you're on your 3rd film in like what is ultimately like what 8, 9 in the Rocky. No, it's probably more than that even, because there were Rocky movies that weren't even numbered after 5, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, when you're getting that deep into a franchise, get fucking weird. Who fucking cares? Like do shit like that. You know what I mean? And I love that he's like, I'm directing now, and instead of playing it safe, like I'm gonna do some weird shit. You know, like that's so cool. Sinners. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, but here's the crazy thing, right? Because like,
there's so much to say.
There's so much to say, yeah, and like, there are other people. I'm not trying to say like, hey, turn off the episode and go listen to other people, but there are other people who have covered the film that may be more in tune with like some of the messaging that is in the film that we would not have gotten unless it was spelled out to us.
Right. But specifically in like race relations and things like that, because I don't want to spend too long opining on that because I don't feel like it's my place, and B, I'm probably going to get some of it wrong, and I'll just be reading other people's words anyway.
Right. But what I was going to get at is like, this is his first like original IP film. Like Fruitvale Station is a retelling of something that happened in real life. Black Panther is a franchise film. Black Panther 2 is obviously a franchise film. Creed is a franchise film. These are all things that were rooted in some sort of already existing property that he adapted and added his own thing to. With Sinners, this is completely new, and he was able to take all of these interesting historical happenings, like looking at this period in time that this movie is set in, and like just putting all of this information that just gives it this like amazing flavor. And there's so much symbolism in this film that like blows my fucking mind. It doesn't hold your hand at all. And like, goddamn, this movie is so fucking good and so rich with detail that like, I'm so excited to rewatch it again, you know, at home and really just take in all the detail. Cause like, man, this film was so good.
And not even that, like if you haven't seen it and that's kind of scaring you and you're like, oh, there's, you know, it's going to be a heady film and there's a lot of allegory I'm going to miss. No, it is, you can watch it on a different level of it just being pure entertainment.
This is true.
It's a very upfront, like fun movie that's just made to like make people have a great time in a theater. Like, and obviously if you see this in a crowded theater, you're going to have a better time because of all the, you know, you're going to get people reacting to it and, you know, in person and everything. And like, yeah, maybe that goes for most movies too, but like this is a movie that you're going to do better in a social environment with, you know, because it is just wildly entertaining. There's so many lines that are like going to get a big pop out of people. There's scenes, particularly I'm thinking of one at the end where you're like, oh, I didn't know they were going to do this. And then somebody starts, you know, mowing down some people and everyone's pumping their fists, you know.
It was so good, man.
Like this movie is a crowd pleaser, but it's not just a dumb blockbuster movie. Like it's there to like, there's so much to break down and think about, you know.
You're absolutely right in saying how accessible the film is. I'm sorry that I glossed over that. It like,
oh no, you're fine. I wanted to like, because you're making a great point and I want to be like, but also
this is true.
You know, you can look at it two ways. Like you could bring your dumb friend to this and they'll have a great time too.
On its surface, it is a what was it, From Dusk Till Dawn, you know, vampire film. But once you scratch the surface, there's so much more there that if you wanted to dig, you are going to find something just truly beautiful.
Yeah. There was a point while I was watching the movie, there was like stuff was being dropped. And I leaned over to my wife and I'm like, is this like a Dusk Till Dawn style movie? Because like the bar and everything hadn't been quite set up yet. Yeah. They were still like rounding people up in town. And I was like, wait a minute. And I told my wife that. And then later, you know, I think at some point during the movie, we looked over and just nodded and went, yep. It was like so exciting. I did see in an interview, Ryan Coogler said his two biggest inspirations for this movie, other films otherwise, were From Dusk Till Dawn, obviously, and The Faculty, both Robert Rodriguez movies that I loved growing up. Did you see The Faculty?
Oh, remind me what's about again?
It's about a group of high school kids. It came out in 1999. Elijah Wood's one of them. And basically Invasion of the Body Snatchers happens at their high school. And they have to like, they're trying to survive and get out of it.
You know what's funny is I started it. And I don't think that I finished it. I think I started it like really late at night because I remember like someone pitching like, oh, they're you know the guy, the Hobbit, he's in a horror movie, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and I never finished it, but I do know when you said the premise, it reminded me of that. Because there was like a bunch of like, hey, if you like zombie movies, here's a bunch of unknown zombie movies that you might like. And it was like that one. There's one where like a bunch of not preschool kids, like kindergarten kids become zombies and like the teachers have to fend them off and shit. There's like a couple different ones that were and The Faculty was on that list.
Well, the Faculty is more of like an alien invasion, like movie that's playing off of like high school tropes, you know, where it's like kids feeling alienated and like, why are all the adults being weird and all this kind of shit, you know? Yeah. And it turns out that, Josh Hartnett, he's the lead in it. And he was like the prototypical like kind of guy I wanted to be as a teenage boy.
In
that movie, and it's why I had like a really shitty haircut and wore like black t-shirts over long gray sleeves, and shit.
That makes sense.
He's like a drug dealer in the movie. He's like makes some kind of weird drug that's like a mix between like cocaine and meth or something, and it's the only thing that like kills the aliens, and so that's how they do the thing test where they pass the drug around and have everyone take it to prove they're not an alien, which they also do in Sinners to an extent.
Oh, that's true. That is true. That's I forgot it. Okay, that makes I can see the similarities now.
Yeah,
I know that he also said not that this was a major inspiration, but like Puss in Boots, the Last Wish.
Yes, I
had a little bit of influencing in there. I know that's in your trivia, I assume.
Well, I think we both saw that snippet from that podcast that he did where he was like, I really like Puss in Boots, and I like the vampire's eyes do that red shine because I liked it so much in Puss in Boots. Yeah, I thought that was
he's a real one, dude. Like I wish I could sit down and hang out with him because goddamn, dude.
The best artists do that stuff too, where they're just like cribbing multiple cool things from all kinds of other works,
what was it? Good artists create, great artists steal. I think is what the term
basically,
is.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Today's film is obviously Sinners. It was released on April 18th, 2025, and is technically in theaters now. You might be able to find it screening somewhere nearby if Lilo and Stitch hasn't completely taken over all the, theaters near you, because Disney does that. The film stars Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Miles Canton, or is it Caton maybe? Jack O'Connell, Wunmi Mosaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Miller, and Delroy Lindo, who was robbed of an Oscar from Da 5 Bloods.
Did you also mention Michael A. Jordan? I knew that was going to get a laugh.
Okay, so I did not. So you find out 1 minute into this. No, it's after that intro.
Yeah, it's after the intro.
But anyway, very quickly in this movie, you realize Michael B. Jordan is playing two characters. One thing that was not spoiled for me about this movie.
Yeah, same. I had no idea.
I knew it was about vampires.
Same.
And that it was really good. I had nobody was like, oh yeah, and Michael B. Jordan's two people.
Yeah, I'm so glad nobody told me that at all. Yeah. And it was so cool because I've seen other people talk about like, oh, Michael B. Jordan's playing himself, whatever. But the moment, like the way he's introduced, he hands himself his own fucking cigarette.
Such a show off scene of having him passing that cigarette back and forth. And I remember just giggling and being like, this is the film just bragging. Like, we're doing this, it's so cool.
It was very good. He's like, you better be on board for this shit. And like, I am.
The film was written and directed by Ryan Coogler. It had do you know anything about the numbers of this movie yet?
So when it was either when we saw it or when we were about to talk about it the first time before my kid got the fucking flu. It was $676 million in the box office that it had earned, but I'm sure it's gone higher than that, right?
No, mine's lower than that, but maybe mine's domestic and yours was worldwide.
Oh, it could be worldwide.
I don't remember which one I grabbed here. I didn't asterisk it here. Well, anyway, the budget was $90 million.
Okay.
And
wow, really?
Yeah.
What is Disney doing? What the fuck is Disney doing? Oh my god. He did it on $90 million? Are you fucking kidding me?
Which sounds like a lot, but like that's a shoestring budget these days almost.
That's
you know what I mean? Especially
crazy.
With what he pulled off, because there's nothing like all the Michael B. Jordan stuff doesn't look finicky or cheap.
It looks amazing.
Apparently it took a lot of work because I was reading a thing about how they did the cigarette scene and it was not easy,
I'm sure.
And like a lot of the actors were constantly talking to a body double, And
they had
to shoot every scene twice with him basically, which is crazy,
Yeah, it's nuts.
But anyway, I have a lot to get into later, but a lot of outlets like I think Deadline and Variety were like, oh boy, Warner Brothers is going to take a bath on this movie. I can't believe they gave Ryan Coogler $90 million to make a vampire movie. And
how much money did they give fucking James Wan for that goddamn Malignant movie?
Well, he does make bank, but it's
still he made $1 billion with Black Panther.
Horror movies are such a thing where like you don't have to spend a lot of money, and then you will often make a ton of money. But you can make 10 horror films for cheap. Like this is the whole Blumhouse is predicated on this whole idea that like you can make 10 cheap horror movies and one of them will make $1 bazillion and it pays for all of them and more.
Right. I understand that, but it's just like Ryan Coogler made $1 billion off of Black Panther. James Wan made $1 billion off of Aquaman.
That's
like,
the thing. Yeah.
It makes sense. You know?
And that was his argument, to people that were saying this, to people criticizing, the whole thing, where he was like, I make money. I have never made a bad movie. Like, I know I've only made 5 movies, but like all of them have been hits, some of them mega hits.
Like, it's like, I literally can't miss.
Yeah. And then like, because this movie got so much criticism before it came out, and then all those people got fucking, pie on their faces by the end of this, because good Lord. Anyway, can't opine on this too much, but
so what's your numbers? What's your numbers on the earnings? Are you like pulling them up like right now?
As what I had yesterday, it's grossed $329 million.
Oh, I'm so wrong.
Yeah, well, you said 600, and I was like, holy shit, that's way off.
Sorry, I thought he was on his way to get like half a bill off of this. I guess that's my bad.
I wonder where you saw that and like what figures that takes into account, because I usually get a worldwide box office.
Yeah, maybe I was wrong, because I remember seeing the side by side between Sinners and Thunderbolts, but I could have I don't know where I saw it. Maybe I'm missing what I had seen.
I can actually look this up in real time because I'm on a computer. So let's see. Screen Rant, which is a horrible website owned by Valnet, my former employer. Fuck them. For Warner Brothers, Sinners has passed the 250 million milestone at the domestic office. Okay, so this is domestic then.
Yeah, I think, well, worldwide, it's still, I think it got like another 150, 200, because like the unfortunate thing is, for whatever reason, movies that are predominantly have black actors in them don't do very well in the Asian markets. Am I wrong?
And this is a very American film, because it's an American historical fiction. Yeah. So it doesn't have broad like international appeal. I can see. Yeah. But yeah, the number I have right now, according to Wikipedia, is 339 million worldwide, which makes sense.
Okay.
That's 10 million more than what I had. Okay, so I was pretty close then.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie, I can see why it wouldn't have international appeal, because it's set in the South 100 years ago in America. So like,
it's still more than tripled its budget.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, this movie, man, it's going to make so much money on like home video and stuff too.
Oh, 100%.
Doesn't happen anymore, unfortunately, which I found out is a big reason why Sesame Street has been broke for so long, because they used to make so much money off of DVDs and stuff that parents would buy for their kids. Oh, and now that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. And so they have to survive by making streaming deals with people. Yeah, man.
Well, I guess base Netflix picked them up.
Exactly. Like, I don't often have a lot of nice things to say about Netflix, but thank God they picked that up. Anyway, do you know the Rotten Tomato score for Sinners?
98?
97.
Oh, so close.
Yeah, but that's still incredible. I mean, good Lord. In his review of Sinners for Film Spotting, Adam Kippenar gave the film 4.5 stars, writing, "Sinners is a redemption movie, a revenge movie with elements of blaxploitation, and certainly a red-blooded soaked horror movie. It's also deeply romantic and has the rhythm and audaciousness of some of our boldest musicals." Reviewing the film for NPR, film critic Aisha Harris gave the film a positive review, saying, "For some of us who have been following him since Fruitvale, the question has always lingered, even as we cheered and loved those franchise films, what fresh stories were being lost to the corporate machine? Sinners is our answer, and a striking and satisfying one at that. A gorgeous and complex thrill ride that demands to be taken in on a giant screen with an enthusiastic crowd, even though it hasn't taken pains to include Hollywood's favorite commodity, franchise nostalgia. And amid all of its thematic yin and yangs, secular, religious, north, south, and so on, it's not much of a stretch to see that Coogler's wrestling with what it means for him to be a black artist with a seat at the table. There's always a price to pay." It's a long quote, I'm sorry, but I thought that was really good. I really liked Aisha's whole point there about all the things that Ryan's able to shove into this movie and not make it feel like a chore or like a homework assignment kind of thing. And over on Letterboxd, user Jackson gave the film 4 stars, saying, "Vampiric white boy orders in perfect Chinese, shocks entire juke joint."
Fuck you, dude. That's a good one. I think I've seen that one too, but that's still very fucking funny.
When I scroll Letterboxd, I'm like, so many of these are people just trying to get a cute little joke off, but damn it, I finally found one that really centered with me. And it was on like page 3, you know, I was going deep in there.
Jeez. Well, I think most people were not taking the piss on this one, but that is funny. That's
Well, no,
good.
one, I think the top rated is the Michael A. Jordan joke that you made right now.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I think that's the top one. Yeah. Okay, we can summarize this movie.
Yeah,
I'm gonna fly through it because number one, it doesn't matter, and I don't want to spoil this for people that haven't seen it yet.
respectable.
And number two, I think a lot of people that are listening to this have already seen it. And if
Also respectable. Yeah,
if they haven't, they're going to. Like, I recommend they do it right now.
yeah. Pause the show.
Yeah,
go
it's
back.
it's on Max, or get it on somebody's Plex account, or go to the theater. Whatever you can do. But anyway, in 1932, what's the city? I missed the city because
it's Mississippi.
I was turning my phone off, but it's Clarksdale, Mississippi specifically.
Okay.
But yeah, I figured it was the American South. I was thinking like Alabama or something at first. But yeah, because I just happened to be, I was like turning my phone off and stuff when like the little title card came up for that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's set in Clarksdale, Mississippi in 1932. So like the deep Jim Crow South.
Mm-hmm.
We meet these two identical twins played by Michael B. Jordan and Michael A. Jordan. And they're called Smoke and Stack.
Smokestack's twins.
Yeah. And which was taken from a song. I have a bit in the trivia about this, so I won't get into it now.
Mm-hmm.
But they just got back from working for Al Capone in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And they're back in their hometown, and they're using money that they apparently stole from a bunch of gangsters to buy a sawmill from this clearly old racist white guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to turn it into a juke joint like that same day, like that night, and run it for like the local black community that they're from. And they pick up their cousin Sammy, who's like kind of our lead.
I would say that he's our lead.
Yeah,
I know that
he's our anchor point for sure.
Yeah, the story opens with him.
Right,
and
it opens and ends with him. Yeah,
yeah, mostly follows him. I know that there's like a brief deviation where Smoke goes to the town to procure items for the juke joint, while Sammy and Stack go. Where do they go? I think they go pick up libations that were dumped off in the woods,
Right.
and they also go to pick up. What is his name?
Delroy Lindo. I think is he Slim?
Yeah, Slim. They go pick up Delroy Lindo. Yeah, Delta Slim at the train station and kind of advertise.
Blues artist that they go.
Yeah,
get.
he goes to another bar and plays there all the time, and they more or less like convince him to play for them instead, and that kind of draws a crowd. Most of the time, the movie follows Sammy specifically.
So, okay, the guy that plays Sammy, his name is Miles Caton. Would you say Catton?
Miles Caton.
Caton? Okay.
Yeah, or Catton. Oh, it could be either one, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. So the guy that plays Sammy, by the way, that actor's name is Miles Caton or Caton. Apologies if I'm getting that wrong. This was his acting debut.
Yeah.
And also, okay, here's what I really wanted to like specify. I thought when he sings, I thought he was being dubbed over. He's
for real? Yeah, no, that's his singing voice.
He's like a singing prodigy, apparently.
Yeah,
that's why they hired him for this movie. Holy shit. Because it doesn't sound anything like his voice. And I was like,
No, for real.
they're just dubbing over him with like another musician. No, they're not.
I want to say that he was on television when he was like 12 or 13.
I think I heard this too.
Yeah.
Because he's like a singing prodigy, apparently. Like he's been doing this since he was very little, but he doesn't do acting, I guess. And so, holy shit! I mean, he does now, obviously, but
what a performance!
Wow, yeah,
it's so good.
Like you never would have guessed this was his first, his debut, basically either. But like, yeah, I thought for sure, like, oh, that when he sings, it doesn't sound anything like him. I bet they just brought in like a studio musician or something. No, I was way off. So anyway,
hey, I'm sorry, we glossed over something real quick. The intro is voiced over.
Well, we do in media res. We see Sammy coming back the next morning.
No, before that. Before that. The intro is narrated by Wunmi Masaku. Wunmi Masaku? the lady who plays Annie, talking about how, what was it? There's ways to connect the past, present, and future ancestors through music. Like some people have the ability to through their songs connect their ancestors past, present, and future. But how the power to do that also will draw the eyes of other things supernatural.
Yeah,
and that's like a brief thing
that happened. That's right.
Yeah, that's okay, and it's like done in almost 2D animation, and it gives us the supernatural presence of or premise of the film before we get into anything else. And yeah, even the way that the movie starts off with, you see Sammy like really messed up, pulling into the church, and
his dad's church.
Yeah, and his dad tells him to drop the guitar. He's holding this guitar. Sorry, I didn't mean to I feel like
that's important, and it sets up like why that really
the one
wild,
scene,
transcendent scene that everyone is like talks
about
on social media. Like it's so that when that happens, you're like, oh, this is what they were like preparing us for. You know, and it's kind of the crux of the movie because that's what lures in the vampires too, basically.
Yes.
So anyway, that happens, and then we get the immediate res of Sammy coming to the church, his dad's church, and walking in covered in blood, just holding the neck of his guitar, and all the people from the church are like reaching up at him and trying to like save him, basically. But he's having flashbacks to being attacked by the vampires, and we're like, oh,
yeah, what the fuck's going on? Yeah,
you know, so they're setting up like all the crazy shit that's going to happen, and I remember being like, damn, it's going to get fucking nuts, you know? And then like an hour and a half almost like goes by with like no violence.
There's a little bit of violence. Smoke shoots a couple people.
Well, right, but it's not anything compared. It's no vampires, you know? So like so much of this movie doesn't have vampires, and then you kind of forget that, oh yeah, this is a vampire movie until like right before he shows up, and you're like, oh yeah. Like you just like, it just feels like, oh, this could be like a historical movie for a long time, you know, because you're really invested in all the characters. And then the fucking Irish guy shows up.
The fucking Irish dude. God damn it.
Okay, so the twins are rolling in the town. They're picking up people for turning their, you know, junk joint up that night. They pick up Sammy because he's their cousin, and also he's a guitarist, so they want him to play. Even though his dad asked him not to. His dad is
it's Saul Williams.
Saul Williams, yes. He's like a rapper that like I tried to get into him like, you know, 15 years ago, and just kind of he does some really experimental stuff.
I do not know him.
Yeah, sorry. He's kind of out there too. Then they recruit Delta Sim, who's Delroy Lindo, as we're talking about. Smoke goes and visits his estranged wife, Annie, to be a cook. And she's also a hoodoo practitioner, as we learn. And we find out that like their marriage fell apart because they had a baby and it didn't make it, basically. They pick up, they go to the store in town.
Yes.
And we learn that there is a Chinese family that's running them, right? And there's two different stores on opposite sides of the street. One store on one side is for black folk, and the store on the other side is for white folk.
Yes.
This is a real thing. Like Ryan Coogler based all of this, and also like the Chinese immigrant family, like having Southern accents, like American Southern accents, based a lot of this on a documentary that he saw on PBS, and hired the director of that documentary to be a consultant for this film.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know that part. That's cool.
I've got her name in my document. Dolly Lee. She's an Asian American journalist, documentary filmmaker, and she was hired as a consultant on this film because she made a documentary about the Mississippi Delta Chinese history. And I was watching clips of it on YouTube, and it is fascinating. But yeah, like basically the family that you see in this movie, like he's basing those on real people.
Yeah. The Chinese immigrants that lived in this area, I guess, or in the South, were uniquely able to, for whatever reason, sell to both black and white customers. They just had to be in different stores,
opposite sides of the street. Yeah,
exactly.
Different stores. Yeah.
So Bo Chow, who plays Yao, the husband, works in the black designated store, and Lee Jun Lee, who plays Grace Chow, works in the white designated store. And you can even kind of see how they act or how they interact with our characters or protagonists very differently based on where they've been or like who they normally sell to.
Because the husband is obviously like he's pretty close with Smoke and Stack. Like he gets along with him really well because
he's known him for a while
at the black store.
Yeah,
and then the wife, I feel like she's a bit more prickly or antagonistic, maybe. But it's probably because she deals with white people, like uppity white people all day.
Yeah, well, there's that, and also like she's very transactional. When you look at the interactions, like she kind of even haggles Smoke to paint a fucking sign for him, and I think like sell him flowers and some other stuff. Like
that's right. Yeah,
yeah.
That's right.
She's very
she's tough but fair too. Also,
yeah.
Because they do come to an agreement on a deal pretty quickly. Well, yeah, she's not generous, but she is. I don't know. I like how you said transactional. She's very transactional. Yeah, she's transactional. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah, but she's always looking for making sure she gets her cut too. Basically,
Yeah,
which makes sense, especially the situation that they're in. They're Chinese immigrants in one of the most racist times in America for sure.
Yeah.
And racist areas as well. While they're recruiting Delta Slim, by the way, they run into Haley Steinfeld's character. I don't have it in front of me. Do you remember her name?
Baby, I got that IMDb pulled up. So just give me a second. Where does Haley Steinfeld? Her name is Mary.
Mary. So we find out she is like a third black.
She's an eighth.
An eighth black. Wow.
Yes. I'm not gonna say the word, but
mulatto, is that it?
So
I don't think there's like racist terms that like only your grandparents will remember.
Yeah, I don't want to like because racists were fucking doing racist shit back in the day.
They weren't doing anything better than sitting around coming up with slurs.
Stupid fucking slurs. I know. Yeah, her granddad was black. That's
what it was. Okay, yeah. But she grew up with Stack. And she's apparently
Smoke and Stack. She grew up with both of the
right, but she dated
twins.
Stack. And
yes,
they have a lot of romantic history, which she just drops right away about.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we need to preface this with there is a lot of cunnilingus discussion in this film.
Ryan Coogler once again is a real one, man. He's welcome in this household whenever he wants to come over. My man is obviously a enjoyer of the finer things in life.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite, because I got a bunch of Sinner stuff after watching the film on my Instagram, and one of the ones was like a dude who does not do that, taking his wife to go see the movie and being like, we get it, and stuff like that. And like, what mound is he talking about? And shit like that. Like
his wife in the background, like looking really pissed off.
But it was very funny. But like, there's a lot of cunnilingus jokes, and to that I say, hats off to you, Ryan.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So we were talking about cunnilingus.
Yes. Very important.
This is the first point
of many
where Mary brings up like, well, that's not what you said when you had your tongue up inside.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. And I think that was one of the first pops from the audience that I remember. And then also, I think it's Stack that goes and gets cornbread with Sammy.
Yes.
And Sammy is, there's a lot of sharecroppers in this town. And Cornbread is out picking cotton with his family.
I believe he owns that farm, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think he's a sharecropper because he says, he's like, I'm behind on my quota. Like, I got to pull more cotton for the rest of the day. And then later his wife was like, I'll pick for you. Don't worry. Because they're like, I think that happens to Sammy too. Like, a lot of people in town.
Oh, true. But
they're all sharecroppers. And so they have to pick their
share for the day. I gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, Cornbread's trying to like tell Stack, like, I'm sorry, man, I can't do it. Like, I'm busy. And he's like, I'm going to make you some money. And like, maybe your wife will let you put her pecker in your mouth.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And then his wife actually is like, hold on, hear him out.
Yeah. How much money?
Oh man.
Okay. There is a scene that happens in between that I would like to talk about later on when we do kind of talk about symbolism and shit, but that's not really important right now because we're trying to blitz through the premise of the film. But they all go to the juke joint.
Yeah. Oh, well, Smoke reconnects with Annie, his ex-wife.
Yes.
Or estranged wife, I guess. They probably didn't get divorced. They have a nice, passionate little scene. That was apparently the actress that plays Annie. That was her audition scene too. And her and Michael B. Jordan had so much chemistry that like Ryan Coogler hired her on the spot right there. Oh yeah, so we find out that Stack and Mary have history, and he abandoned her when he went to Chicago. We find out that it's more complicated than that. You know, he didn't want her marrying a black guy, and so he like got her arranged for her to marry a white man so that she could be. I guess
she could live in white society.
Yeah, right.
Because she was white passing.
And be more successful, you know. Because this is the South in the 40s. So, yeah. Yeah. But they ultimately, like, still have a thing for each other. This is when we see Remick.
Yes.
Comes tumbling out of the sky, stumbling towards this, like, random shack in
a cornfield.
In a cornfield, yeah. And,
he's not looking good.
Yeah, he's all fucked up. And he goes to the door and begs like this white couple inside to let him in. He's like, I've got gold, like I'm being chased by Indians. Like, can you please let me inside and save me from them? And then these like indigenous Choctaw vampire hunters.
Very important.
Yeah.
Who they are, where they're from. Dude. And he even says when he's asking for help, I'm being chased by the Choctaw.
Oh, he actually says the tribe too?
He does. And the people who hear him are like, the what? Because they're racist white people.
Right.
They didn't care.
I think is that when he clocks the hood and
the
robe?
Hood. Yes. That's when he realizes
the Klan robes in the background, and then we get it and we're like, whoa.
Yeah. And he code switches right there. It's like, the engines.
Damn. I'm glad you clocked that because I had forgotten all of that.
Oh,
now.
Baby, I didn't clock that. Somebody had to tell me about it.
Okay.
Because I am also a fucking stupid white person.
I remember him clocking the like hood and robes and stuff, and us being like, "Oh, they're racist," and I didn't realize like that was for him to code switch. I thought he just assumed they were white, so they're going to be racist.
No. I think.
Yeah, right.
But yeah,
But it sets it up for us, and then that's how we find out too that they're related to the guy that sold the juke joint.
And also the mentioning of the tribe is important because of once again symbolism. But we'll get there. I'm not trying to bury the lead, but there's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot going on with the words that are being said in this film.
Yeah. Anyway, it's these vampire hunters. Cannot stress how cool they are.
They're so fucking cool.
And like I know there's a lot of that's been said that's like I want a spin-off movie with these guys. Like they never show up again. What the fuck? I want to see these guys, you know, like they're so legit.
They can't win at night.
Right. You know? And they know like pick their battles and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they even so they ask to come inside, you know, like we're hunting a very evil and dangerous man, like we're afraid he'll be inside, and they're like, no, you need to go away and leave and blah blah blah. And so they're like, okay, well, may God protect you, you know, we need to leave anyways. It's nighttime. And so they leave and we never see them again, and that sucks. But hey, it's still a great movie. But like, they're fucking cool as shit. And then the lady turns around, goes back inside to find her husband, and has already turned him. And then he turns her, and so now they're all vampires.
And
then
we
don't
like
see them for like another 40 minutes.
Yeah, he was relying on them being racist little shits
to protect him.
To not accept the offer of help. Like
right, yeah. And so there is a crib in that scene when she walks in and finds her husband like all eaten up and turned into a vampire. And I thought the implication was that they had a baby and that he ate it when I first saw it.
Right.
And I read later that no, they wanted a child and they bought the crib in anticipation, but they found out they couldn't have kids after the fact.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so they just never had a kid because they couldn't.
Understandable.
Yeah. Because I was worried that there was a, you know, like I said,
they were going to pull a Nosferatu.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that night, we kind of get a time skip. And then it's revisited later in a montage. But they open up the juke joint. They turn that sawmill real fast. There's performances on stage from Delta Slim and Pearline, who is this other lady that we didn't mention that gets picked up that Sammy kind of has a thing for. And she's a singer. And
she's played by Jamie Lawson.
Thank you.
No problem. I got you.
And then, so Sammy's performance. how do we even want to put this into words?
Like, holy shit. So I want to go find the guy who did the music for this, because
the Swedish composer that, like, man,
it's not Ludwig Göransson, is it?
Yes, it is. Him and Ryan Coogler like became really good friends and like did a lot of traveling to study the musical history of the area for this movie. And they and it was Ludwig brought his dad along because he was also like a Swedish musician, but he played blues guitar in Sweden because he loved American blues so much.
Oh, no shit.
And so they would tour the South, like preparing for this movie to write the soundtrack and everything. And Ryan was also there to like learn about the history of the area. And they just had like such a good experience. And like he said, Ludwig and his dad were just like in tears when they would go to like plantations or like, you know, old blues joints and just like absorb everything that like they'd only read about or seen on TV and stuff, you know, or met other blues musicians that would tour in Sweden. Apparently that was a thing too. Blues musicians, because of racism, couldn't get a lot of traction in America, you know, on tour. And so they were very limited with where they could go, and they would go to Sweden and perform there too, where there wasn't as much stigma about it, you know. And that's how blues like got to Sweden, basically, which I thought was so weird. I never would have thought of that.
So let me tell you how deep this runs. Ryan Coogler and Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah,
they've been working together since Creed.
Oh, okay. So they go back further. They go back. Yeah. And so he was just like, "Hey, I'm making a vampire movie. Do you want to like research some blues with me?" And he's like, "Yes."
Dude, he's done so much, man. He did Creed. Yeah. He was a composer on Black Panther. Yeah. He was a composer on that Childish Gambino song, "This Is America." He did shit for Venom, Creed 2, the Wakanda Forever.
He did the Eminem Venom song.
Yeah, he did Venom. He got an Oscar for Oppenheimer.
No way.
Yeah, he did the Oppenheimer score.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this guy is like fucking killing it.
He's going to be the new what's the guy that did Dark Knight and Call of Duty?
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, yeah.
Yeah. Man, did you know he was an executive producer on this film?
I believe it, because the thing I was reading, like, him and Ryan Coogler did so much work together, like building the background and the history for the film and everything.
Yeah.
Apparently, I love this about Ryan too. He's such a cool collaborator. Like, he just like makes really deep connections with people, and then they're just always working together. And I love that in a filmmaker, you know, because you're like, oh, it's like they're collaborators, you know, they're regular crew, you know, like, oh, you're going to see this person in all the movies and this person in all the movies. I love when they show up, you know. And
it's good to have like good rapport with the people that you work with, because you're going to make a better product because of it.
And then you collaborate better. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Ryan had a lot to say about his wife too, because she has been apparently like very informative on all of his movies. Like, she is always helping him make design decisions and things, you know. And he was always saying like, oh yeah, my wife pushed me to do this and do this, you know. And I thought that was so neat. They've apparently been together for a really long time too. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, so Sammy's performance. I think I said this earlier, but it's hard to put into words what's happening. But he does this performance that turns into a very long, extended take that starts. It becomes metaphysical.
Yeah,
I guess is one way to put it. I mean,
it was more of like a not a conversation, but like an expression of how music connects us.
Right.
Connects you to.
I think that's part of the literal narrative that is spoken over too.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah, exactly. So like it's, you know, when he's playing and stuff, and the camera starts moving around, and you start seeing like people from, you know, Africa doing traditional dance. You're seeing like people from like the 80s and 90s like doing hip hop breakdowns. You're seeing like modern day rap.
There's a guy dressed like Jimi Hendrix like playing guitar that just kind of walks in and out of frame a few times.
There's even a part where like the camera pans past the Chow family, and you start seeing like traditional Chinese dancers and whatnot. And it's just like how in this moment the music that is connecting everybody in that room is also tying them to the culture with which they come from, and it's connecting them to where their culture started and where it is potentially going. And it's fucking beautiful, and it's like it's a mixture of so many different sounds and whatnot, to the point where the music literally burns the house down, like it.
Well, that's right, because we get that shot of like, it looks like the entire exterior has burnt down, but everyone inside is fine, and then we see Remick and the other two vampires approaching, and they just like, they can see it like it's a beacon from miles away. Yeah, and Remick is drawn to it.
Yeah, it's like because he's bared his soul, it has drawn in Remick like an angler fish. Yeah, like immediately pointed straight to it, because something you kind of intimate later on is that when you become a vampire, you more or less lose your connection to the beyond. You become this thing that because it is immortal, it can no longer interact with its ancestry, but you become a hive mind. You become a collective, and you are the people that you are now with is your family. But because everybody has become connected in and become monoculture, you lose your connection to what brought you there from, your history, essentially.
I want to put a pin in this too, because what you're saying about how the rules of how being a vampire works in this movie, I want to come back to, because and I've been waiting to drop this for a long time.
Oh, I'm excited.
But I have a bone to pick about the plot.
Oh, okay.
But I will say, the more time that has passed, the more I've kind of, my thoughts on it have evolved. And I'm thinking like, no, actually, I think the movie, this isn't like a plot hole or like something critical that the film is overlooking. I think the film is actually trying to say something with this. But we'll get there because we're almost there. Yeah. So not to tease too much of that, but let's just run through the plot, because like that's the most interesting stuff. Plot
and then the movie starts to slowly devolve into a vampire horror
vampire
film.
Attack.
And not to say that it's like not to say that the film gets worse, but the third act of the film is unfortunately it's the weakest part, especially because like there's bits and pieces where there are like. You think
it's not my least favorite, but I can understand where you're coming from.
What I'm getting is like it loses not coherency. It's hard because I don't want to critique it, but there is a problem here, and it's like you think that only these 8 people are in this fucking barn, but then when the things start happening, there are random red shirts that are still there that weren't on fucking screen to prolong the vampire attacks, and that's
you mean
lazy.
Like when they open the door, because I'm like, looks like there's way more people being killed.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what's happening here?
Yeah, there was
a little bit of getting lost in the frantic action of what's happening there, but like
it seems that like I think there was a misstep. They were like, okay, whoops, we only filmed these shots where we had to cut out like extraneous shit, and so now we need people to die on screen, but we don't need our main actors to die yet. So we need to just like put some bodies out here, but these bodies haven't been in establishing shots before, but you got to go with it, and like that's.
I think you're right, because I remember thinking, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, I had
the people dying here that weren't there earlier.
Yeah, that was.
And then there's also the random guy that they throw outside.
That's where the movie kind of gets fucking messy for me. But you can hand wave it away because of everything that's happened.
Exactly, and even in the heat of everything that's happening, you're kind of like, oh, who cares,
Yeah,
and there's just so much better stuff till like you forget about it later. Like I'm just now remembering it as you're saying it. Anyway, so Sammy's performance, right?
It's beautiful.
We're seeing him summon spirits of past and future coming in and out, of the juke joint. Everyone's just having a transcendental experience, basically, listening to him perform. And then he ends up going down on Pearline.
Yes, he does.
A few people take turns like listening to her like call his name outside the door.
I'm like, that's my cousin in there.
And then Stack hooks up with No, wait, that's later. Sorry, I'm skipping.
That is
ahead.
later.
That
yeah,
is later. My bad.
Remick is going to try to infiltrate the crew.
Remick, spotted Sammy performing like a literally like a lit tower in the middle of the night, like just can feel him performing. And so him and the two racist vampire people that he's turned now make a beeline for the place, and they knock on the door and ask to be let in, and are pretending to be like a traveling
group of bluegrass players
band. Yeah. And actually they are real musicians too. The actors that are playing all of them.
Oh, no shit. I didn't know Jack O'Connell played music.
Is Jack O'Connell Remick?
Yeah.
So the guy that's behind Remick is in a band. I forget the name of the band. And then the lady behind him, the wife of that guy, is like the front lady for like a punk rock band, I believe.
No
And,
shit.
Yeah, she was the guest on an episode of Blank Check recently, and it was recorded way before Sinners came out. And she's like, "Hey, I'm in this movie called Sinners. Go see it." And I like looked her up, and I was like, "Holy shit, she's the vampire lady."
Oh, she's in Bad Company and Free.
Bad Company, the band.
Sorry. Her father. Sorry, was.
Oh,
that's,
whoa.
I'm so sorry.
Holy shit! Do you know who that is?
Simon Kirk. No, I don't know who that is.
Wow, or her dad. I didn't know she was like a nepo baby.
Found him. I found it.
Okay. Anyway, Remick's trying to get let in, and like most of our main characters like confront him at the door, and they're like, "Who the fuck are you? Go away. We don't want white people in here. It's going to get weird, And then they see Mary, and they're like, "What about her?" And they're like, "She's
what
family."
about that one? Yeah.
And then and so they shoo them away. And then we see Stack realize like they're not making any money because
Smoke realizes they're not making any money.
Okay. I think Smoke is trying to like defend it though, and he's like,
no,
listen.
Stack is trying to defend it. That's the difference.
It's the other
Smoke
way
is
around? Okay.
Smoke is all business. Stack is like we're doing this.
We're doing this as a
community.
service for people. Yeah,
exactly.
And he's like,
he's like, let's
poor,
just.
but like, maybe we'll eventually turn a profit.
Yeah,
but
they show
it's
off
a lot of
the
them are
wood
poor.
nickels.
Yeah, they're paying. Well, it's because they have like what is it, like plantation money? It's not Confederate money. I think it's plantation money.
It's plantation money. So
which isn't real, but it's what black people were paid with by white people so that they didn't have to give them real currency. Like it's just all this, it's like company money. Like it's bullshit.
Yeah,
stuff.
it was like company town stuff where you have to go to a designated place that
and
will
then
take.
You just turn around and pay your boss your wages back.
Yeah.
It's so infuriating. But like the fact that this is written into this is so fucking good.
Yeah.
But anyway, they're realizing like they're making no money off of this, and they're just kind of like, well, fuck, like we're going to be broke in a month. Like, how are we going to keep doing this? And so that's how their arm gets twisted, and they decide like, okay, maybe we invite Remick and the band outside, the vampire band outside, and maybe they will attract some white people and we can actually make some money. They're like,
specifically, Mary says,
well,
let
they
me go
decide
talk
to send.
them.
Oh yeah, Mary offers it
Because
so they
Smoke
send her
doesn't
as a
want
scout.
Yeah, Smoke doesn't want to do it. He'd rather squeeze everybody who's in there or close the joint down. He doesn't want to compromise.
Right.
And Mary suggests to Stack, let me go talk to them because Remick showed everybody the gold coins that he has, much like he was showing to the racist couple
money
prior.
on them, and that's what they're hoping to make out of it too. That's right.
Yeah.
So Mary offers to go like scout them out basically and feel them out and see if they're cool, and she can lure them in to spend the money or the gold. And then of course we all know where that goes. She goes outside and talks to them, and gets turned, and then comes back. Gets let inside by Slim because she has to come in because we find out that they work on like the old school vampire rules where they have to be invited inside, which becomes very crucial to the plot.
It's very funny.
But she gets invited in right away. And then immediately like seduces Stack, and they go off into like the pantry or something and start getting it on. And then I think Sammy gets sent to check in on him and hears them having sex and goes, "Oops, sorry." And then goes and tells Smoke, and he's like, "Hey, sorry, he's busy." He's like, "I don't give a fuck. Go get him."
Yeah, that's right.
And so he goes back, and then he sees like Mary
eating him
basically, but she's biting him and turning him. And, but when he sees that, like everybody bursts in, and Stack,
he shoots her.
No, sorry, Smoke.
It's Smoke.
That's right. Smoke just whips out two pistols
and
from
shooting
under
the
his
fuck out
coat.
of
It
her.
just shoots the shit at her.
Yeah, he hits her like 5 or so times.
Yeah. And then
And-
the whole joint like freezes because they all hear it. And Mary just goes running off and runs past everybody and runs outside. Everyone's like, what the fuck is going on? And Smoke goes to Stack and is like cradling him, you know, and he's dying. Everyone's freaking out. And then I think Annie comes rushing in to
Annie's
perform
clued
aid,
into what's going on.
and she starts to put together, I forget how exactly it happens, but Annie is starting to put together, wait a minute, what happened to Mary? Mary did this and you shot her and then she ran outside. She's like,
Yeah.
she doesn't say vampire. She says there's something else.
Hold on. Let me pull up the thing because there is a specific word that she said.
Yeah.
And it's a reference to other supernatural thing.
Right. It's a hoodoo thing, right?
Yeah. Let me,
Because she's
you,
like,
you
yeah.
keep talking. I think it's a hake is what she said.
Oh, that's right. And she starts explaining like how she thinks it's working. And then later she realizes, oh no, these are vampires. This is something else, you know? Haint? Haints.
Yes, there it is. Haint.
I got it. Haint, hollers, and hoodoo.
Yeah. So she originally thinks it's a haint, which is something else, but they're like very similar. And this is not only a reference to like old, I don't want to say African lore, but
Well, like hoodoo, I mean, because that's they're
I guess
directly
stuff.
like pulling that, yeah.
But Ryan Coogler apparently is also a fan of a comic book series that deals with haints, and I want to say that it is either Black Illustrated or a Black writer who has an illustrator that did something else that Coogler was interested in. I can't remember
like kind of the inspiration for it being in the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
that
cool.
reference, that made him think about. But yeah,
so he wanted it name dropped, you know.
Yeah, so she originally thinks it's a haint and like starts to kind of explain to the group like what they need to do, and then, if I'm not mistaken, the way that Stack comes back, she's like, "Oh no, this is a no, it was she believes it's a vampire when Cornbread asks to come in."
That's where I was going because Cornbread, he's like the doorman, and he like asks Slim, Delroy Lindo's character, to like stand in for him while he goes and takes a leak outside.
Piss, yeah.
And Remick gets him instantly, of course. And like this is the point where like everyone gets sent home after Stack gets, killed by Mary. And so now like every single character that we know is important, and their fate is like extremely important. Like, cause like they are being picked off one by one basically by the vampires at this point.
Yeah.
So Cornbread gets turned and then shows back up at the door and asks to be let in. But he's being very weird, and they all notice it right away. And
Annie notices it first, and she, like when I believe Smoke is about to say something, and he's like, "Hold on a second, why do you need to be let in?"
Yeah,
and
because she knows the rules about the vampire thing.
Yes,
but then he starts like he's acting different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because
before he didn't like taking any shit from anybody. And now that he's been turned, he's being very polite, and obviously because he's asking to be let in, but he's also just being. His attitude has changed.
Yeah, his demeanor is different.
I read a thing that's saying like because he's become an Uncle Tom now, basically, is the point that the movie was trying to make with this.
Okay.
And like I think that's valid. Because his demeanor is completely different, but it's also because he needs permission to get in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he can't do anything. So eventually, Smoke, I think he reaches out to hand him his payment.
Yeah.
He's going to leave, and then
what's his name? Cornbread asks, "Well, if you're not going to let me in, at least give me my money."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay."
Smoke
takes his money out,
hand out. Yeah.
Slowly hands it out.
Cornbread just goes to snatch him outside so that he can bite him.
And
it goes
Smoke
nuts.
immediately fucking claps his fucking face.
He shoots him
so
in
fast.
the same motion. It's so cool.
Yeah, it was fucking like he goes and then gets shot right in the fucking face. It was so fast.
And then he has like this horrible like facial disfiguration from the gunshot the rest of the movie.
Yeah, the vampires don't. Their healing factor is like non-existent, which is interesting.
Well, they heal, but not when it's convenient for the plot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Mary isn't shot up anymore. Mary's like fine the rest of the movie.
That's true.
I think.
Yeah. So somehow they get Stack out of the place. I can't remember how he gets out, but I know he does get out of the building.
Oh yeah. So he wakes. Annie is like, we need to take him outside.
Yeah, because that's not your brother anymore.
Well, Smoke is like, no fucking way am I doing that. And they end up just locking the body in there. And then, of course, he wakes up, starts banging on the door. And I think Smoke goes like, Stack, is that you? And he's like, no, it's fucking Jim Crow. Yeah, it's me. Let me out, you know?
Yeah, that's right. So good.
But he ends up, I think he just punches down the door and then runs outside to rejoin the vampires.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Because he wasn't invited. Because he's not, he's like, let me in, because he still can't cross the threshold because he's in a completely different room.
Is that how it works too?
Yeah,
wow.
I believe so.
Okay, I didn't. Man,
They were really particular about that rule.
Right. Especially for the entrance though into the sawmill. Yeah. God, it happens like 4 times too because they think they find a guy that got turned behind the bar. And so they throw it because it looks like blood all around him. So they throw him outside, and then they realize
it was wine,
it was alcohol, and he passed out. And then the camera cuts to him waking up drunk and being like, "What the fuck? Why am I outside?" And then Cornbread just eats him.
Yeah, no. Fucking gets him.
And they're like, "Oh no, we killed an innocent guy."
Yeah, we get a really killer shot of. Sorry, hold on.
I forgot to mention when he sent everybody home.
Bo Chow goes out there.
We see everyone go out into the parking lot, basically. Yeah. And is it Chow? His name?
Chow. Yeah, Chow goes out there,
and because his wife is really upset. She's like, "I want to leave," and he's like, "Okay, I'll go get the car." And then we don't see him for a very long time. But we realize, like, is it around this time where we cut to Remick outside, taunting singing, everyone?
Well, he's singing the Rocky Road to Dublin.
Oh, I thought it was Wild Mountain Time.
No, I believe Wild
Mountain. The different scene.
Hold on. So I know
is Wild Mountain Time what he sings when he's trying to get let in.
Yeah, I believe Rocky Mountain Time was when he was trying to be let in, and then they did a lullaby when Mary went to go talk to them. Yeah, and then Rocky Road to Dublin is where everybody's like doing a jig dance around him. Yeah,
and that's when we realize everybody that was in the juke joint that got sent home is now a vampire out there, and they are fucked.
Well, they're having a good time. I mean,
and it's become like a huge meme on social media. Of course, it's like, this is the song that the vampires could have played to get me to come outside. You know?
Yeah, and there is significance to this choosing the song "Rocky Road to Dublin." I believe it is about an Irish person's, how do you say, troubles getting back to Dublin from starting off in London, I guess, like all of the different type of discrimination that he goes through by, the English and whatnot. Right. I can't remember the exact details of it, but the song, once again, has intentionality into it being picked.
And it's even explicitly stated in the movie, when Remick is trying to get let in before all the vampire stuff happens. I think, Smoke goes, "Y'all clan?" And he goes, "No, sir. No. We believe in equality." And like, he's being earnest, like for real. He's not, that's not a lie. He is not a racist vampire. Like, technically none of the vampires are racist because we find out they kind of have a hive mind thing. Yeah. And they have no problem like mixing races and all this stuff. Like, it's not an issue. It's like beyond the pale for them at that point,
Yeah, it's about around this time where like the vampires aren't technically taunting the people on the inside, but they are showing how once you're assimilated, there's a lot of homogeneity.
Word. Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Right. Cause white boy walks into
also,
I was like, white boy walks into a Chinese food place and speaks in perfect Mandarin and whatnot.
Well, that's because Remick is taunting, oh God, what's the wife's name?
Julia.
No. Bo. No, Grace and Bo. That's the store owners.
Oh, sorry, Grace. I'm sorry, Grace. Yeah. Not Julia. Grace.
Remick is taunting Grace later and speaks in perfect Mandarin to her. Yeah. And it like freaks her out and pisses her off, Yeah. But because like, there is no race anymore or even,
there's homogeneity.
Everyone knows. Yeah. And it's like kind of lovely how they set that up so much and like reinforce it, and it's kind of like, and you can argue like this is the movie saying like assimilation is a form of evil and like it will kill your soul essentially too, like that's such a thing. It's an interesting thing to think about. I think that's kind of what he's trying to say with that a little bit.
Assimilation creates equality. A full assimilation creates equality, creates a monoculture. You lose your connection to your culture, what makes you, where you come from, and whatnot.
Yeah.
There's should be a healthy balance between assimilation, but not losing who you are, where you come from, kind of thing. Kind of like how I don't know if he meant this, but like when the people were brought over as slaves, they did lose a lot of their history, and so a lot of the culture that they've made up now comes from their adversity and whatnot. And if they
like
were
Kwanzaa and stuff, yeah,
exactly, if they lose that by complete assimilation, then what is remembered of the struggle,
right?
But
it essentially just washes away everything that they've gone through.
Yeah.
And that's why like it's such a tragedy that like a lot of Black people in America can only trace back their history
so far,
just a handful at best of generations, because all the records have been wiped, because of the slave trade, and it's like, well, good luck figuring out where you came from before your ancestors were brought over. Yeah. So it's gone.
Yeah, we don't have that problem. I can go back and see where my great grandfather immigrated, into Ellis Island and whatnot.
Right. And that being said, too, I think Remick gets into this a little bit, and he says that like he when he's trying to be let in again, but he is telling. Are
you talking about the first time or the second time?
The very first time.
They're both there.
Okay, and he's explaining he's like I'm Irish, and so I'm like I've been persecuted by the Christians before, and I know that that's awful. And he's like, we actually have something in common because of that. Doesn't he make that argument there?
He makes that argument at the final confrontation against Sandy.
Oh, it is later when. Okay, my bad.
It's okay. I was gonna say the second time he tries to come in is kind of where the foot falls. Like you really understand his motivations. He. Because he took out the two racists, he knew that.
That's right. He warns them that he's like, hey, actually, they're the kids of the guy you bought the thing from, and they're just going to come kill you tomorrow. And he's like, you might as well join me. Yeah.
You were never free.
Yeah,
is what he told them. He said, you put all this effort into this thing. You're trying to, be your own people, but at the end of the day, you are never going to be free. They're always going to hate you. There is solace and community with us. We can protect you. You will never know loneliness ever again. But on the flip side, because what Annie tells all of them is that, you will never know the warmth of the sun ever again. You're
essentially losing your soul. Excuse me.
Yeah,
you lose your soul.
Yeah.
And I think the film really tries to hammer that point in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Remick basically, he just wants Sammy too.
He specifically wants Sammy because Sammy shows off the ability to connect to the past.
He has that talent to connect to the spiritual, I guess. Yeah.
Remick either wants that to exploit it, or maybe he thinks that once Sammy is assimilated, he will be able to have that ability.
Oh, for sure. I think. And then they all have it. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Because he wants connection. That's the big motivator for Remick. And there's whenever we're done talking about the film, there's a lot of clues to that. But we need to keep moving on with the plot.
Yeah, we're almost done. We referenced this earlier, but Grace gets into it with Remick, and Remick says something to her in Mandarin about I think killing her daughter.
He's like, I know how you like to be licked, and if you stay in there, I'm just gonna get
another
your daughter.
Cunnilingus reference. That's 3 dings, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. But he's like, I'm gonna go get your daughter, and then I'm gonna get you too. So you might as well just let me in.
And then Grace gets so upset she screams, "Come on in, motherfucker!" And all the vampires.
It was after a lot of other hijinks, they all eat garlic, and
that's right. We forgot about that. They Annie tests everybody by having them eat a clove of garlic.
Yeah.
So they do the blood test scene from The Thing. Granted, it's anticlimactic because nothing happens. What does happen is Delroy Lindo chokes on it because it's so gross. But he's like, I just had too much to drink. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, they do a couple of different hijinks thing. They lock the doors. They all everybody is resolute and we're just gonna wait till the morning. And Grace is not an ally. She has no connection to these people. She worked in the white store. So she says, come on in, motherfuckers.
Well, she gets so worked up. Yeah. She's
I mean,
we'll
she's upset. But like, once again, this was a commentary on specifically that character and how like sometimes the plot, even though they're both minorities, because they're being treated differently, their plight is not the same, and so you have to choose your allies carefully. If Chow had gone out there instead, and Grace was the one that was a vampire, there's more likely that he would have waited until morning. But
I wonder,
we'll never know that because that version of the film doesn't happen. So all the vampires come in and a bunch of fucking red shirts get immediately mowed down.
Yeah.
Annie gets bit. Gets bit.
And then so Smoke Annie, before this happened, Annie made Smoke promise to her that like, she's like, she keeps rolling these like bones so she can see what's going to happen, and she doesn't explain it, but she goes, oh no, like oh crap, like you can tell she sees the outcome is going to be bad. So she tells Smoke like, hey, if I get turned, like please kill me, don't let me become one of them. And of course when she gets bit, Smoke like reluctantly like fights off Stack off of her and then stabs her, and Stack and Mary like scream at this, like they're upset about Annie being killed instead of being turned. Yeah,
they want her to be a part of the group,
right? And they're actually like upset about that, which is important for the thing I'm going to bring up later. But this is where Delta Slim holds everybody off by like he tells Sammy and Smoke and Pearline to go upstairs, and he like lures all the other vampires to him by slitting his wrist, and he's like, y'all want this? Come on, And so he sacrifices himself. Smoke fights off Stack, and so that Sammy and Pearline can get out. They get outside. They get attacked by Remick.
And Pearline still dies.
She gets turned by Remick.
Yeah, she gets turned. And also, like, there's a fake out of whether or not Smoke staked Stack.
We don't see what happens, but they are rolling around, tussling with each other, and we think that Smoke gets the upper hand, but we'll circle back to that in a second. So Sammy's running around outside. He gets into a lake, and he's just surrounded by vampires.
Yeah, and Remick is like slashing the fuck out of him and kind of taunting him in a way, and even like does this like reverse baptism on him, like shoving him into the water, and then starts talking about how like, I understand you're a holy person, you're a believer in God, because I think he might be praying or whatever. Or starts doing
he's saying a prayer. He thinks Remick is about
and
to
he's
kill
like,
him,
the same people came hundreds of years ago and did the same thing to my people. Like we're more aligned than you think. And that's when, Sammy fucking hits him across the head with this guitar that he's been holding the whole time. And it's got
like a steel plate inside the guitar that like
silver. It's specifically silver.
Yeah. So that's why he's weak to it, and it lodges itself in his head, and he's burning from it. And all the other vampires kind of react to it and like feel like their head is burning too, which I thought was interesting because I guess they have a hive mind with the hive mind. He's the leader or something.
He's the main guy.
They don't explain this part, but it's interesting.
I think he can manipulate the other ones. I think
they
he's
feel the same emotions and stuff. Yeah.
But eventually, I want to say that Smoke shows up too, and like last minute saves Sammy, and
just before Remick is about to kill him, Smoke shows up right behind Remick, and
stakes him.
That's right.
But it doesn't kill him still. It just weakens him. And then the sun peeks over the sky, and all of the vampires just light on fire. And
they all just erupt, and Remick especially is this huge well of fire. It's so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And Smoke and Sammy are just like holding each other up, watching it, and it's god damn, it's such a cool scene. And like, have you seen the picture going around social media of like, it's like someone in the projection booth at an IMAX theater, like, of that scene and the audience looking at it, and it's just like one of the coolest pictures.
No, I haven't seen it.
Fuck, I'll send it to you after.
Yeah, I'll see it.
It's fucking sick, and it was like, like a projectionist took it from the booth, just kind of be like, look how cool this movie looks on this big of a screen, and it became like a selling point to like get people to go to the theater, and it's why this movie got brought back to IMAX theaters like weeks after release, because normally films are only in IMAX theaters for like the first week or two, and then Disney cleans it out.
Ryan even like made posts being like, "Hey, this is what you're missing."
Yeah,
actually,
exactly.
Because the aspect ratio.
He has a a video out, on like, Instagram and TikTok and all that, where he's explaining aspect ratios, and it's so fascinating. Like, I'll try to link it in the details of this episode, but it's really fun. It's really to watch him like explain what each one is and like break it down in like layman's terms,
Yeah. But anyways, yeah. So Sammy, like Smoke and Sammy, like talk. I can't remember what they have a conversation about, but Sammy goes home in one of the vehicles,
one of the cars, and Smoke stays there
because he knows.
We find out why in a little bit too, but Sammy goes back home and the scene from the beginning of the film where he goes home like traumatized and walks into church with his dad, and they're all trying to save him, and he's like, "Put down the guitar, son," and he doesn't want to let go because it's like the thing that saved him, basically. Yeah. And we cut away as he's like kind of being hesitant to give in to letting his dad baptize him or what have you. So we cut back to Smoke, who is like anticipating the clan showing up.
It's so cool.
I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that shit, and like he's just like. He's ready to go Rambo on him,
Yeah, he's got he traps set up.
Yeah, he's got he's a World War I veteran.
Oh yeah, somehow it was a blink and you miss it scene where Smoke is talking to Stack about how like they survived the trenches, and then you clue in like, oh, this is 1932. That means they were in World War I.
Yeah, and,
which is wild.
They have a machine gun with them,
a BAR.
Yeah. And grenades and stuff. And so Smoke like sets up a trap basically. And so we see these like a bunch of like old fat white racist Southerner guys pull up ready to like, kill them.
Yeah. Get the jump on them.
They're kind of like, they're a little giggly, like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then they realize like, wait a minute, the barn's all locked up. Where are they? And then from the woods, Michael B. Jordan or Smoke starts picking them off.
Yeah, he's fucking
just one at a time, and then just comes charging out of the woods, just like full barrel shooting it, throwing grenades and shit. It's so good.
It's fucking badass. He does like after everything the liver at a certain point.
After everything that's happened, it's just so
cathartic.
It's cathartic, exactly. Yeah. And like one of the guys goes to like drive off, and he pops a grenade in the back of the car, and the whole car fucking goes up.
So good.
But yeah, unfortunately, he does get shot in the side, and so he sits down on the ground next to the lead white guy that they bought the sawmill from.
He's like incapacitated and begging for his life.
Yeah, and he's like, I got money on me, like you can have it, And
he sees a vision of Annie with their child.
Yeah, he looks over and Annie is in like this big white gown holding their like baby, and she says like, you can have him if you put down that cigar.
Well, no. She says, I don't want you to get any smoke on our son.
Yeah.
And this is the first time you hear his name. I believe it's Elijah.
I think because the other one is Elias. So it's Elias.
She says Elijah.
Names,
I don't want you to get any smoke on my son. And she's talking about the personality that he's always had.
Yes.
No,
I read the same thing you did.
So fucking good, dude.
It really did. Like, it brought like a tear to my eye. Yeah. Like, it makes that scene even better too. Yeah. Because he's like, he can drop the facade now. He doesn't have to be this like big tough guy anymore, and he can just like embrace his family and.
But before he does that, he fucking wastes the fuck out of that old man.
Does it even show him? You just see Smoke's face as he's like shooting him right point blank, right?
No, they show it, I think. If I'm not mistaken, they show a little bit.
I just feel like I just saw Michael B. Jordan's face while he's like shooting that guy like point blank right in front of him. He's like,
he does that,
and he just tosses the gun. Oh, it's so good.
There's
it's so sweet,
Yeah, it is really sweet. Yeah. There's two end credit scenes too. We only stayed for one because I didn't realize there was one up that all the way
I
the
also
credits.
Was reading like, oh, we missed another one, but it doesn't sound like it was much. We found we saw the important one, which a lot of people of our theater did walk out for.
Stupid.
I know. I was like, I guess you got to know these things, but so in case you did miss it, we should go over it though, because it's very important. So after the initial credits, we get a title card that's like 60 years later, and it's 1992, I think.
Yeah,
91 or 92. And so we see Sammy as like this very old blues musician playing in a club one night. Is he in New York?
Fuck if I know, dude. I think he might be in New York. He might even be in Chicago.
I don't know if it's even said. It doesn't have it in the thing that I got here, but oh well, not a big deal. Anyway, he's performing in a club in the 90s, and he's a very old man, And after he finishes the performance, he's sitting at a bar, and the bouncer walks over to the barman. He's like, "Hey, there's 2 people outside that are asking if they can be let in. They've got money." And you immediately go, "Uh-oh." And then even Sammy kind of looks up and goes, "Uh-oh."
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
And then the camera goes to the door, and it's
Michael A. Jordan looking like Will Smith.
Mary. No. He's dressed like... Okay, you have.
Oh, is he just like somebody specifically?
Yes, he is dressed specifically like a character from a Spike Lee movie called "Do the Right Thing." I think it's Radio Raheem. Yeah, Radio Raheem. Excuse me. He is this character, one of the best characters in that whole fucking movie too. It's such a good movie. God, we have to cover "Do the Right Thing." But anyway, he is basically dressed like Radio Raheem from "Do the Right Thing." If anyone's seen that, he also has so Radio Raheem famously has these 2 brass knuckles that say love and hate on each hand. Okay. And and we see Stack has one that says Stack. That's right. I love it so much. But yeah, they kind of look like the coolest like
90s
pop couple from the 90s. Yeah, like Mary has like big hoop earrings and stuff, you know. But they come walking in. I think they're both wearing sunglasses too, and it's at night.
Yeah, they are.
And they sit down next to Sammy, and God, what do they say? Because
they reminisce about how before everything happened, it was the best day of their life.
So yeah, that's Sammy says like, you know, before the violence, like that was the greatest day of my life. But Stack explains like, Smoke didn't kill me that night. He didn't want to, but he made me promise that I wouldn't hurt you. And so he's like, that's why I've left you alone all these years.
But you're getting old.
Yeah, he leans in and he's like, you're getting old. Like he's like, do you want me to turn you and you can join us forever? And he basically politely declines. And he's like, no, he's like, I think I'm getting sick of this world. You know, I'm ready to move on is what he says, basically.
I mean, he's seen, if he's from the 30s, he's seen like the civil rights movement. He's, you know, like he's seen all sorts of terrible racist things that society has done to black people up until that point. And he's ready for it to be over with.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a very sweet scene, and it's a nice little farewell for them. And I think Stack is like, well, hey, before we go, like, let me hear you play one more time. Like, I miss, like, you were so good that night, you know. And he's like, I have all your records. I love listening to you. Like, can I get you to play something for me before we leave? And so Sammy, you know, the guy that plays this older version of Sammy, he's an actual blues musician too.
It's Buddy Guy.
Buddy Guy, thank you. Yeah, he's a famous blues musician, is playing the old version of Sammy. So he sits there and plays guitar for him at the bar, and they all have a great time. And then that's how that ends. Now the second post-credit scene is a scene I think I read. It was actually at one point in the movie, and then it was kind of like a deleted scene that they threw in at the end. And it's Sammy in his dad's church, I think before the night, right?
Yeah, this is before everything because he doesn't have the scars on his face, but old Sammy does.
And he's performing This Little Light of Mine. Is that right?
I didn't watch the scene. I've only saw like
I only read about it. Yeah, and it sounds like it's, you know, it's kind of it wasn't worth staying for.
Right. Yeah, he's playing on the guitar, and I think he stops and he kind of looks up into the corner of the church, and you're supposed to intimate that he sees something, and it's open-ended of whether or not he sees like God or he sees the devil. Because part of Sammy's character is based off of the devil, like the Crossroads story, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the musician that like everyone said sold his soul to the devil to he'd be talented, and then he kind of leaned into it as like a joke, and then he ended up dying really young and stuff. Yeah,
yes, that is who Sammy is based off of, and so it's one or the other. And I know, like, depending on if you're religious or not, both interpretations work well. Some people say, you know, he saw God, and God is what his ultimate faith in a higher being, not necessarily organized religion, but faith in a higher being is what saved him that night against Remick. Because like Remick, you know, pushes back on religion because of what, you know, the English did to his people.
Right.
Others say that, you know, it was his dark dealings that not only made him good, but also gave him the ability to basically be a beacon to other dark creatures of darkness. And that's what drew Remick to him.
Right.
It's a fun little, which one is it kind of thing, and I think it's really neat, but it doesn't serve the ultimate plot of the film.
The other thing too, I think, is like he doesn't fully give in to his dad's baptism or the church, because he does feel that the guitar is what gets him. It's the most spiritual thing in his life. It's how he feels God.
Music also saved him.
Plays music, and he's like, and his dad kind of wants him to reject it, and he's like, well, no, this is my church. Like this is how I feel, God in my heart, so he chooses his own path basically is to play music, and he doesn't think it's him rejecting God. He's just rejecting the church basically. But that's my interpretation of it. Okay. Trivia.
Yes. Hit the trivias.
Actually, should I hit my hang up?
Yeah. What was your hang up? What was your hang up?
Doesn't make any. Okay. Let me just put it out there first, how I felt about it, and then where I've come around on it. I pointed out to my wife the day after the movie, and I was like, something I've troubled with about this movie is it doesn't make sense to me that Stack and Mary are different than the other vampires. Why were they not good, but like, why did they make that, agreement with Smoke? Like, that doesn't track. And also, wouldn't all the other vampires have known it if the hive mind thing works the way it does? Because all the other vampires seem to know everything else at all times that the others know and all this stuff. It doesn't make sense to me that like Smoke and Mary wandered off, during the final fight
confrontation
at the juke joint, and then kept to this promise. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem true to them. And also, like, have they been going around the world turning people, slaughtering juke joints this whole time? And my wife was like, yeah, that was that was what I thought was being implied there. But I was like, but why would he have honored this agreement? It doesn't make sense to me. Now, having said that,
yes,
I have rolled this around in my head for a long time, and I'm starting to think that the movie is saying that Stack didn't let the vampirism completely take over him. He was a little bit more evolved, maybe, or he was able to keep a side of himself that he was able to keep with his brother, where he was like, I wouldn't turn on this man. Like, I'm going to honor this agreement with him, even in death kind of thing. And I think that makes it more interesting, but
I'll pause.
I'm not fully committed to it.
No, I understand. I'll pause at this because I what I'm thinking is, remember when Annie dies? And the only ones that have reactions is Mary and Stack.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that you do keep a tinge of your personality. Like, yes, it's a hive mind and they probably know everything and whatnot, but there is a possibility that Remick can't like fully control everyone. Maybe. I don't really know. And so when Remick dies to the sun, and Mary and Stack might not be outside. Who the fuck knows?
Well, I think they bail before all of that because they're not part of the vampires that are watching Remick attack Sammy in the lake, Right. Because I think the cutaway we get really quick shows them running off before all of that,
So I guess with them running away, maybe Remick wasn't necessarily controlling everybody at that moment in time. And he was like maybe so focused on Sammy that he like wasn't attempting to control them specifically, and all the other ones were following him because that's fresh blood and whatnot. You could also say that maybe their wills were so strong that that's what kept Remick from completely killing Sammy too. I mean, he harmed him, but he never killed him, and that was his ultimate.
Well, he wanted to turn him.
He wanted to turn him, but he just did. Yeah, but he didn't. Yeah. He wasted his time.
Well, I mean, that's plot convenience.
I know, but you know what I'm saying.
Contrivance,
Yeah, but that's an interesting thing. I didn't even consider that, but yeah, you do make a pretty good point. Whoops.
But I think if you were to say that to Ryan, like, I feel like he has an explanation.
Yeah, I'm sure
for it.
Yeah.
Because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, well, maybe that's the intention.
Yeah.
Like but it's not fully thought out. It's more like, well, he's Stack, he's special kind of thing,
Sure. Yeah.
I did see some people try to give explanations for it online, but like, I didn't really like any of them. It felt like they were, listen, The IMDb trivia section on this is humongous, and it is half of them are some stinkers. I'm like, some of it is just people were just making up shit. People were pointing out the most obvious things, trying to make like, yeah, no, we got that, man. Like a fifth grader could have made this, inference, kind of shit. But yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hear some trivia.
Yeah, we talked about the Chinese immigrants opening grocery stores up and down the Mississippi Delta. The Smokestack Twins were named after the song Smokestack Lightning by Howlin' Wolf, who is himself the inspiration for Sammy's character.
Oh, no shit. That's cool.
Yeah, he's a famous blues musician. So you found this, and we were talking about it after we saw the movie on Spotify in the About section for the artist Sinners movie. The first front page is from a Boston newspaper, and it describes a mysterious discovery in the Boston harbor of an Irish immigrant ship. Let me take that again. An Irish immigrant ship. She sells seashores.
Yeah, I know, right?
That turned up completely devoid of life. Hey, the last voyage of didn't meet her much, But anyway, the Spotify listing for the soundtrack like has a bunch of Easter eggs and stuff that like kind of give you like behind the scenes, like here's how Remick got there. Here's what Smoke and Stack were doing in Chicago. Like
right before they came back. Yeah,
they robbed like different warring gangs. Yeah, and then came down, with all the loot, so that they wouldn't be found. It's like
and so had cool. The two gangs go to war against each other, thinking that they were the ones that stole from each other.
Exactly. So, and listen, man, that shit happens in Sorcerer, which we're gonna get to one day.
Oh hell yeah!
But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff like buried into the Spotify page for the soundtrack, which I thought was really neat. Nothing that like is like groundbreaking, but it's just neat little like
little Easter eggs of like stuff. These are the things that happened. This is how this character got here. This is how these guys got their money. That kind of shit.
Yeah. The idea for Sinners came to Ryan Coogler one day as he was washing dishes in his home in Oakland that he shares with his wife Zenzi and their two young children. He was listening to a song called Wang Dang Doodle, which is a classic upbeat blues song about a juke joint party featuring Howlin' Wolf. Coogler put down the dish rag and began framing an idea for a story rooted in the centrality of music to the Black experience. Struggled on that sentence, sorry. He quickly realized that he also wanted to explore the interplay of Black, white, and Native American elements, which had produced the distinctive culture of Mississippi. This was from a New Yorker article entitled Ryan Coogler's Road to Sinners by Jelani Cobb. That was a really fun read. Oh yeah. Did you know when he was filming Wakanda Forever, Ryan Coogler went to Bank of America in Atlanta to make a withdrawal. He made a large cash withdrawal because he had a bunch of stuff to pay off. Mm-hmm. And the teller thought he was trying to rob the bank and called the police.
You're fucking kidding me.
Was swarmed and arrested by the Atlanta PD.
What the oh my God, dude.
Yeah. It made headline news. Like, director Ryan Coogler arrested, believed to be bank robber,
It's
and
fucking
he was
crazy.
And he's like, you cannot state the irony without just like being exasperated, because he made a fucking movie about a guy that was like wrongly targeted on the subway.
Yeah.
Was profiled basically, and then was executed basically. Like I don't want to get into the plot of like what happened to the guy that Fruitvale Station's about, because like it's horrible.
It is horrible.
But like he's like, yeah, man, guess what? I got fucking profiled. Oh my God.
That's crazy. That's awful.
Also, that bank teller.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
I know, right?
I was a bank teller, and we never called the cops on somebody unless we knew they were breaking the law.
That's crazy.
Like, we had you dead to rights, then we're calling the police. Like, what the fuck?
That's incredible.
Like spitting. I'm so mad about this.
Yeah.
Though. But I came across it and being like, oh yeah.
Isn't this wild? That. Yeah. Fuck this.
So in an article published in the New York Times by Tiani Clark entitled The Movie Deal That Made Hollywood Lose Its Mind. Yes. This is what I want to talk about because I think it's so fascinating. In 2050, thanks to an advantageous deal that Ryan Coogler made with Warner Brothers, Ryan will own the rights to Sinners, the Black Southern Gothic blockbuster that he wrote and directed. The contract gives him final cut and a piece of the box office revenue right from the start. Owning his movie about Black ownership in the Jim Crow South was, Mr. Coogler has said, a non-negotiable. Since the film came out, the contract stipulations have been much discussed and even controversial. that has little to do with why Sinners is so enthralling to watch after all. It's a genre-bending and blending film and even has vampires, but everything to do with the film's central theme and why it's so resonant, the art of the deal. Negotiation is a central thread in Sinners, a repeated motif about the power and consequence of deal-making in America. When asked about the coverage on Democracy Now! Program, I sent you this interview on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Coogler said, I think a lot has been made of my deal in particular, adding, I've been in this industry long enough to know what kinds of deals are possible, and nothing in this deal is a new thing. And when the interviewer asked Mr. Coogler why he thought the agreement was drawing particular scrutiny, he laughs and responds, I'd rather not say. Yeah. And like Amy is,
looks at the
Amy's
camera
even
like,
smiling.
yeah.
Like, Amy is smiling, and she's like, "It's because people are fucking racist about this shit."
It's so funny. Yeah, he kind of smiles and looks at the camera.
Yeah,
I'd rather not say. So good.
And this is a really good bit I wanted to throw in here too. In an interview with Jelani Cobb for the New Yorker Radio Hour, Mr. Coogler is talking about Ryan. This is a quote. Ryan Coogler is talking about how hard Spike Lee had to work to get funding for his film Malcolm X. And I'm quoting Ryan here, hearing Spike talk about Malcolm X and going door to door with black celebrities to raise money for it. And here he cuts himself off because he's getting emotional and he lets out a shaky sigh and his emotions are overtaking him. So the interviewer asks, like, what does it mean to you to have to do that? And Ryan pauses and his voice trembles and he says, I'm getting emotional because it's hitting me now. I'm talking about the ease of which I can make a vampire movie that's this expensive. The ease that Mr. Coogler is pinpointing here is why his deal for Sinners is so important and crucial. And this is the interviewer speaking. For me, as a writer navigating what's possible, when I was navigating my first book deal, I was given this piece of advice from one of my mentors. They will make you feel like you have to be so grateful for everything that you're not allowed to ask for anything. Ask anyway. Ask for what you need. And that is a big part of this movie, ultimately, because like that's what Smoke and Stack are trying to teach Sammy, like the whole movie, you know. Man, I'm so happy for Ryan for this movie. Like,
me too.
God damn, dude.
Me too.
He fucking did it.
Trivia on my end. Just one quick thing because I want to touch on this.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler did his homework in so many different ways than one. Like, obviously, there's so much about the Black experience and Black history in this film, but he did not, ignore where his villain comes from either. Like, he chose Remick to be Irish for a specific reason, and that is because...
And he wanted to be more interesting because he's not just a...
he's not a racist white person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
it's more interesting than that because it's like, he's not even fully evil because he's making good points about why it's like, hey, you're better off being a vampire, with me.
But he chose him to be Irish because there is a lot of not correlation, but maybe like similarities.
Shared history too, because like, Black, Irish, and Choctaw people, like, were all minorities basically in the American South at that time too, and have faced different persecution, obviously, on different levels.
Like, obviously, African American slavery for the Black people was way worse than anybody else.
I'm not trying to like.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. But there was Irish indentured servants that was kind of like slavery, but because they were white, they were able to
especially at this
work
time
their way out
in
of
the Jim Crow South too. Like, they were, the Irish and Black people were all sharecroppers basically that were being oppressed by the white Southern landowners,
Right. And then on top of that, you can tell where Remick comes from. Remick has been around for at least 200 years. He's been around since the 1700s.
That says that something that he references happened like 6,000 years ago or something crazy.
Oh shit! I didn't catch that. The reason why
6,
I know about the religion of the English were pushed on him, that happened in roughly the 1600s. The reason why the Choctaws even know that he exists is because,
I think I meant 600, not 6,000.
No, it's okay. But the reason why the Choctaws know he exists is because he went went to their tribe to try and become a part of them. Mm-hmm. And the reason why he specifically went after them is because during the potato famine and Irish persecution by the English, the Choctaws donated what they could to the people of Ireland, even though they themselves were being oppressed by American colonialism.
And were impoverished.
And they were impoverished. Yeah. But they gave what they could to people who they thought were also suffering under oppression, people that they had like a spiritual connection to through oppression. And like, just Coogler knowing to put something in like that and giving you clues like that just means that like he did so much for this film, and it's just brilliant.
He pointed this out in an interview I watched too. His own name is Irish.
So I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Ryan.
Ryan. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So cool, man. Well, yeah, I love that. Like, I remember in the theater watching it, I was kind of sinking in my seat a little bit when the villain was Irish, and I was like, oh fuck, I feel bad now. But no, later it's like, it's actually because it's more interesting than if he was just like some racist white guy, you know?
Yeah.
Will, it was so good to do this, man.
Same.
We're so back. I don't know what our next episode's going to be, but I know we've been shooting around some things, so we'll figure it out. Well, folks, that's our show. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. More wonderful co-hosts. Will, where can people find you? And do you have anything to plug?
You can find me on Instagram as @pocket_infinity. You can also find me on Blue Sky at WillSwitchEngage. And I would like to plug Claire Obscure Expedition 33. It's been a very fun game to play. It is cheaper than your average game. It's definitely cheaper than a Switch 2 game. So if you've got the extra dosh and you like RPGs, check that shit out.
Absolutely. Well, for my co-host Will, I'm Jared. Take care and goodbye. Debaser, a film podcast, is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. The show is mixed and edited by Jared Rusk. The theme song is also by Jared Rusk. The cover art is by Dog Bites Back on Instagram. Special thanks to Haley and Courtney for their love and understanding. Check out debaserpod.com for links to all of our episodes and to find us on social media like Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for listening, and take care of each other.